Another successful purge, Commander Kaz'Turaal announced Lieutenant Kreth as he strutted into the command center, his 6 appendages clicking rhythmically against the polished floor. Commander Kaz'Turaal turned slowly in his hovering command chair, his facial tentacles twitching with what passed for amusement among the Vorlexian species. Define successful, Lieutenant. Our mission was to eliminate all human resistance on this miserable rock they called Earth. Yet here we are, 3 solar cycles later, still hunting stragglers. But sir, our scanners indicate only 1 human life sign remaining on the entire planet, Kreth protested, his exoskeleton flushing a defensive purple. 1 from billions. Surely that constitutes success by any reasonable metric? When I want your opinion on what constitutes success, Lieutenant, I will extract it from your brain cavity along with whatever passes for intelligence in that thick skull of yours, Kaz'Turaal replied, his voice dripping with enough sarcasm to fill the ocean basins the humans once called Pacific. 1 survivor is 1 too many. The High Command was explicitly clear, total extermination. The command center hummed with activity as dozens of Vorlexian technicians monitored planetary sensors, their compound eyes reflecting the glow of countless screens. The invasion had been swift, brutal, and nearly complete. Earth's militaries had fallen within days, its cities within weeks, its organized resistance within months. Now only scattered ruins remained where human civilization once stood proud, monuments to a species that had the audacity to think itself important in the cosmic hierarchy. So where is this final human? Kaz'Turaal demanded, his tentacles now rigid with anticipation. Kreth tapped a sequence on his wrist device, projecting a 3-dimensional map of what humans once called North America. Here, sir. Northern region, former territory designated Canada. Our sensors detected the biosignature approximately 6 hours ago in an underground structure. It appears to be female, approximately 30 Earth years in age. And you waited 6 hours to inform me? Kaz'Turaal's voice dropped to a dangerous whisper. We wanted to confirm, sir, Kreth stammered, his exoskeleton now a panicked yellow. Humans have become quite adept at masking their signatures. We have had false positives before. And? Denned. We have maintained continuous monitoring, sir. The signature is stable. It's definitely human, and definitely alone. Kaz'Turaal rose from his command chair, towering over the lieutenant. At nearly 3 meters tall, he was impressive even for a Vorlexian. Prepare my personal shuttle. Select an elite capture team. I want this human taken alive. Kreth's eye stalks quivered in surprise. Alive, sir? Protocol dictates immediate termination. Are you questioning my orders, Lieutenant? Kaz'Turaal's tentacles coiled menacingly. No, sir. Of course not. Kreth backed away several steps. But may I ask why? Kaz'Turaal turned to the massive viewport that dominated one wall of the command center, gazing out at the ruined planet below. Do you know why we exterminated the humans, Lieutenant? Because they were deemed a potential threat to Vorlexian expansion, sir. A harsh sound emerged from Kaz'Turaal's speech orifice, the Vorlexian equivalent of a laugh. Potential? They were barely spacefaring. They hadn't even colonized their own moon permanently. Then why, sir? Because they were interesting, Kaz'Turaal said simply. In all our conquests across 17 galaxies. No species has fascinated the High Command like humans. Their capacity for both creation and destruction. Their bizarre emotional responses. Their completely irrational attachment to concepts like hope and freedom. Even as we slaughtered them by the millions, they continued to fight. Continued to believe they could win. Kaz'Turaal turned back to face Kreth. I want to see this last human. I want to look into its eyes and understand what makes a species fight so hopelessly against inevitable extinction. Then I will kill it myself and receive my promotion to planetary governor. Yes, Commander, Kreth replied, signaling to a nearby communications officer. Its shuttle preparations will begin immediately. Oh, and Lieutenant? Kaz'Turaal added casually. If this turns out to be another false positive, I will have you processed into nutrient paste for the larval creches. Is that understood? Perfectly, sir, Kreth replied, his exoskeleton now a sickly gray. 4 hours later, Commander Vazrul's shuttle descended through Earth's atmosphere toward the coordinates of the human signature. 2 additional troop transports flanked the command vessel, carrying 30 of the most elite Vorlexian warriors. Approaching target location, announced the pilot, a compact Vorlexian named Grix. Sensors confirm the human signature remains active and stationary. Landscape analysis? Vazrul inquired, checking the charge on his personal disintegrator. The formerly forested region, now mostly ash plains from our cleansing protocols, replied Grix. The signature originates from beneath what appears to be a collapsed human structure, possibly a military installation or bunker. Any defensive systems? None detected, Commander. Whatever this facility was, its power signature is minimal. Barely enough to support life support systems. Vazrul nodded, his tentacles swaying thoughtfully. Land 1 kilometer from the target. I want ground forces to approach in standard containment formation. No risks. The shuttle touched down on the charred earth with a gentle thud. Through the viewport, Vazrul observed a blasted landscape that had once been verdant forest. Now only skeletal tree trunks remained, standing like accusing fingers pointed at the sky. The scene brought Vazrul a sense of satisfaction. Another world cleansed of biological contamination, ready to be repurposed for the greater glory of the Vorlexian Empire. Sir, called Grix from the pilot's station. Ground teams are deploying now. On the external monitors, Vazrul watched as his elite warriors emerged from their transports. Each stood nearly as tall as himself, encased in battle armor that enhanced their already formidable physical capabilities. They moved with precision across the desolate terrain, weapons at the ready. Commander, came the voice of Captain Droll, the ground team leader, through the communication system. We have located an entrance. Appears to be a heavy blast door, partially exposed by structural collapse. Status? Vazrul demanded. Sealed, but our scanners indicate it's an obsolete mechanical locking system. We can breach it within minutes. Proceed with caution, Captain. Remember, I want this human alive. Understood, Commander. Vazrul watched through the helmet camera of Captain Droll as the team approached a massive metal door half buried in rubble. 2 specialists moved forward with cutting equipment, their tools sending showers of sparks flying as they worked on the ancient human locking mechanism. Curious, muttered Grix beside him. That bunker design doesn't match standard human military architecture from our intelligence files. Explain, Vazrul demanded, his attention now fully focused on the pilot. The composition and configuration. It's unusual. The metal alloy is unlike anything we have seen in human construction before. And the depth readings are extraordinary. How extraordinary? At least 200 meters deep, possibly more. Our scanners can't penetrate beyond that. Vazrul's tentacles twitched with unease. Could it be pre-invasion construction? Some secret project we weren't aware of? Possibly, Grix admitted. But, Commander, Captain Droll's voice interrupted. We have breached the outer door. The helmet camera showed the massive door swinging open, revealing a dark corridor beyond. Proceed inside, Captain. But maintain maximum alert status. Yes, Commander. Vazrul watched as the team entered the facility, their weapon-mounted lights cutting through the darkness. The corridor sloped downward, reinforced with the same unusual metal alloy Grix had noted. No signs of damage from our orbital bombardment, observed Captain Droll. This facility was built to withstand significant punishment. Life sign status? Vazrul demanded. Still registering 1 human biosignature, approximately 150 meters ahead and 70 meters down, replied Droll. No change in position or vital signs. The human knows we are here, Vazrul said confidently. It must. Yet it doesn't run or hide. Interesting. The team proceeded deeper into the facility, passing through several more sealed doors, each requiring cutting equipment to breach. Kaz'Turaal noted with growing unease that the architecture became increasingly sophisticated the deeper they went, with strange symbols marked on walls and doorways. "Commander," Captain Droll's voice had taken on an odd tone. "We have reached some kind of central chamber. And, sir, you should see this." The helmet camera panned across an enormous circular room filled with technology unlike anything Kaz'Turaal had ever seen. Sleek consoles lined the walls, glowing with soft blue light, despite the facility's apparent abandonment. "And in the center, is that the human?" Kaz'Turaal demanded, leaning closer to the screen. The camera focused on a transparent cylinder in the center of the room. Inside, suspended in a clear fluid, floated what appeared to be a human female. Her eyes were closed, her long, dark hair drifting around her face like seaweed in a current. She wore a simple white garment that covered her from neck to knees. "Yes, Commander. Life signs confirm this is our target." "She's in some kind of stasis chamber," Kaz'Turaal observed. "Can you remove her?" "We are examining the control systems now, sir." "They appear to be, Commander, these systems are active. They are not running on emergency power. This facility is fully operational." Kaz'Turaal felt his first real twinge of concern. "That's impossible. Our electromagnetic pulse weapons should have fried every piece of technology on the planet's surface." "Sir," another voice broke in, Science Officer Zex. "I'm analyzing the writing on these control panels. It's not human language, at least not any human language in our databases." "What are you saying, officer?" "I'm saying, sir, that I don't believe humans built this facility." A cold sensation spread through Kaz'Traal's neural pathways. Then who did? Before anyone could respond, the stasis chamber in the center of the room began to drain. The clear fluid receded, and the human female's feet gently touched the bottom of the cylinder. "Did you activate that?" Kaz'Turaal demanded. "Negative, Commander," Droll replied, a note of panic in his voice. "The system activated on its own. Weapons ready," Kaz'Turaal ordered. "But remember, I want her alive." The transparent cylinder slid upward into the ceiling, leaving the human female standing unprotected in the center of the room. For a moment, she remained motionless, head bowed, water dripping from her garment and hair. Then, slowly, she raised her head and opened her eyes. "Hello," she said in perfect Vorlexian. "I have been waiting for you." Captain Droll took an involuntary step backward. "Commander? Your orders?" Kaz'Turaal stared at the screen in shock. No human should be able to speak their language. It was physiologically impossible for human vocal cords to produce the necessary sounds. "Restrain her," he finally ordered. "Then bring her to my shuttle." On screen, two warriors approached the human female cautiously, restraint devices ready. The human made no move to resist, maintaining an eerie calm as they secured her limbs. "You are making a mistake," she said, still in flawless Vorlexian. "Silence the prisoner," Kaz'Turaal commanded. One warrior moved to place a neural suppressor on the human's neck, but as he reached forward, something unexpected happened. The human's calm expression never changed, but the warrior suddenly froze in place, then collapsed to the floor. "What happened?" Kaz'Turaal demanded. "Report." The second warrior checked his fallen comrade. "He's dead, sir. No vital signs." "How is that possible?" The human didn't even touch him. The remaining warriors raised their weapons, but the human female merely smiled. "I did try to warn you," she said, "but no one ever listens." "Commander," Grick said urgently beside him, "we are detecting energy spikes throughout the facility. Systems are activating everywhere." On screen, lights began flashing in the chamber. The human female stood calmly in the center as Vorlexian warriors backed away from her. "Capture her," Kaz'Turaal roared. "Use maximum non-lethal force." One warrior fired a paralysis beam directly at the human. The energy beam struck her squarely in the chest and passed through her as if she weren't there. "A hologram?" Captain Droll exclaimed. "No," the human replied, her smile widening. Something much more interesting. Suddenly, alarm signals blared throughout Vazral's shuttle. Grix frantically worked the controls. Commander, we are detecting massive energy buildups beneath the surface. Whatever this facility is, it's fully powering up. Vazral made a decision. Captain Droll, get your team out of there immediately. Return to the transports. Yes, Commander. On screen, the warriors began a fighting retreat toward the entrance, weapons trained on the human female who made no move to follow them. Commander Vazral, the human called out, somehow knowing he was watching. You should have left us alone. All vessels, prepare for immediate emergency launch, Vazral ordered, and contact the orbital fleet. I want a full plasma bombardment of this entire region as soon as our shuttles are clear. The fleet isn't responding, sir, Grix reported, his voice tight with fear. All communications are being jammed. Outside the viewport, Vazral saw the ground beginning to crack and shift. Massive sections of Earth rose upward as something enormous pushed its way to the surface. Get us airborne now? Vazral screamed. The shuttle's engines roared to life, lifting the vessel from the trembling ground. Through the viewport, Vazral watched in horror as a massive structure emerged from beneath the Earth, a sleek, metallic construct the size of a small city, but bristling with what could only be weapon systems. What in the name of the High Command is that? Lieutenant Kreth whispered from his station. The human female's voice somehow came through their communication system, though no transmission was indicated. That, Commander Vazral, is why you should have made absolutely sure you killed all of us the first time. I am not the last human survivor. I'm the first warning. As the shuttle climbed desperately toward space, Vazral saw dozens more massive structures breaking through the Earth's surface across the planet. And in orbit, where his mighty fleet had been stationed, explosions bloomed silently against the blackness of space. Sir, Grix reported, his voice now completely devoid of emotion. Long-range sensors indicate similar structures are emerging on all worlds where human colonies were purged. Impossible, Vazral whispered. We were thorough. We were precise. You were arrogant, came the human female's voice again. And now you are extinct. The last thing Commander Vazral saw before a blinding energy beam struck his shuttle was the human female's face on every screen in the command cabin, her eyes now glowing with an unearthly light. Humanity, she said, sends its regards. Fleet Admiral Joxon of the Vorlexian Supreme Command stared at the tactical display with all four of his eye stalks twitching in disbelief. Where just hours ago the conquest of Earth had been a celebrated victory, now emergency signals flashed across every sector of claimed human space. This is preposterous, he hissed, slamming a clawed appendage onto the console. Commander Vazral's entire squadron gone? The orbital defense network offline? Someone explain this catastrophe before I have you all processed into nutrient tubes. Strategic analyst Mevna approached cautiously, her exoskeleton deliberately muted to a submissive beige. Admiral, we have compiled the last transmission from Commander Vazral's shuttle. It's disturbing. Show me, Joxon demanded. The central display flickered, showing the final moments aboard Vazral's command shuttle. The image of the human female with glowing eyes filled the screen, her final words echoing through the command center, "Humanity sends its regards." A single human did this? Joxon's voice dripped with venomous disbelief. We exterminated billions of them like the vermin they were. Their military capabilities were primitive at best. Sir, Mevna ventured, the analysis suggests this wasn't exactly a human. At least, not merely human. Joxon's attention snapped to the analyst. Explain. The energy readings from those emerging structures exceed anything in our technological database. And the construction, sir, carbon dating from the wreckage recovered suggests these facilities are over 10,000 years old. Impossible. Human civilization wasn't even using metal tools 10,000 years ago. Precisely, Admiral, Mevna said, her voice dropping to a near whisper. Which suggests these aren't human constructions at all. The implication hung in the air like a toxic cloud. Admiral Jackson's skin shifted to a pale yellow as the horrifying possibility took root in his mind. You are suggesting humans had patrons? More than patrons, sir. Possibly symbiotes or even hybrid integration. The female Commander Vazrul encountered spoke perfect Vorlexian, physiologically impossible for an unmodified human. And she apparently killed a warrior without physical contact. Jackson turned back to the tactical display where red alert indicators continued to multiply across former human territories. Status of our forces? We have lost contact with 70% of our occupation fleets, replied Battle Coordinator Fex from his station. The pattern is consistent. Massive structures emerging from planetary surfaces, followed by complete communications blackout. The few transmissions we have received describe energy weapons unlike anything we have encountered. And the High Command? Fex's exoskeleton darkened with stress. No response from the central hub world, Admiral. Last communication indicated multiple unidentified vessels had appeared in orbit. Jackson absorbed this with cold dread creeping through his neural pathways. The Vorlexian Empire, conqueror of 17 galaxies, brought to its knees in mere hours by a species they had considered practically exterminated. Sir, called out sensor technician Rolta, we have detected an approaching vessel. Classification? Unknown, sir. It's enormous, approximately 20 kilometers in length. And, sir, it's not using conventional propulsion. Our sensors can't even identify how it's moving. Battle stations. Ordered Jackson. All weapons systems online. Prepare for. Admiral, interrupted Communications Officer Tulaz. We are receiving a transmission from the vessel. Audio and visual. Put it through, Jackson ordered, his appendages instinctively reaching for his ceremonial blade. If he was to die, he would do so with dignity. The main view screen flickered, and the face of the human female appeared once more. But this time, she wasn't alone. Behind her stood a diverse group of beings. Some appeared human, others clearly not, with anatomical features no evolution on Earth could have produced. Fleet Admiral Jackson, she said pleasantly, as though greeting an old friend. I am Guardian Alexa, representative of the Conservators. We should talk. If you have come to negotiate surrender terms, save your breath, Jackson replied, drawing himself up to his full impressive height. Vorlexians do not surrender. A sound emerged from the female, laughter Jackson recognized from studies of human behavior. Oh, Admiral, this isn't a negotiation. This is merely a courtesy call. You expect the mightiest empire in known space to simply bow to your demands? Jackson's voice rose with indignation. We conquered 17 galaxies. We exterminated countless species far more advanced than humans. Did you ever wonder, Alexa asked, her head tilting slightly, why in all your conquests you never encountered truly advanced civilizations? Species with technology millennia beyond your own. The question caught Jackson off guard. It was true, while the Vorlexian Empire had crushed many spacefaring races, none had possessed technology significantly superior to their own. The answer is simple, Admiral, Alexa continued. We removed them from your path. We relocated them, protected them. We have been guiding and preserving promising species across this galactic cluster for over 40 million years. That's absurd, Jackson stammered, though a cold certainty was forming in his mind. The human species showed particular promise, one of the non-human figures behind Alexa said, stepping forward. This being had silvery skin and proportions that seemed just slightly wrong for a biped. Their adaptability, creativity, and resilience marked them for special observation. They became our latest apprentice species. What my colleague Taraxon means, Alexa clarified, is that humans weren't just some random species you encountered. They were under our protection. We simply hadn't fully integrated with them yet. You attacked about 2 centuries too early. So, the structures emerging on human worlds, Jackson began. Emergency protocols, Alexa nodded. Activated when your invasion reduced human population below critical threshold. We had hoped humans would develop naturally with minimal intervention. But you forced our hand. What happens now? Jackson asked, already suspecting the answer. Alexa's expression softened slightly. Normally, the conservators simply relocate threatened species before they encounter aggressors like you. We prefer non-interference where possible. But you Vorlexians crossed a line by attempting to exterminate one of our apprentice races. And your punishment? Jackson's voice had lost all its previous bluster. You misunderstand, Admiral. This isn't punishment. This is quarantine. The view screen split to show a new image, a massive ring-like structure assembling itself in space. This containment system will enclose your Empire's territory completely, explained Taraxon. You will be unable to leave your current realm or threaten other developing species. You will retain your current planets and resources, but expansion is over. You can't do this. Jackson roared. We are Vorlexians. We have exactly 1 hour to recall any vessels you wish to save before the quarantine field activates, Alexa interrupted smoothly. Any ships outside the boundary after that time will be permanently stranded. Oh, and Admiral, this communication is being broadcast to every Vorlexian in your empire. Your people deserve to know why their conquering days are over. The transmission ended, leaving a stunned silence on the command deck. Orders, Admiral? Battle Coordinator Fex finally asked, his voice unnaturally high with stress. Jackson stared at the blank screen, his mind racing through options that dwindled with each passing second. Send the recall signal. Priority 1. All vessels are to return to core territories immediately. And our outposts? Our mining operations? Asked Mevna. Abandoned. Jackson replied flatly. We can't risk losing ships to this quarantine. As his officers scrambled to relay the orders, Jackson moved to the viewport, gazing out at the stars that had once been the canvas upon which the Vorlexian Empire painted its glory. Soon, most of those stars would be beyond their reach forever. Sir Mevna approached again, even more tentatively than before. There's something else. We have analyzed the technology of the emerging structures. They appear to utilize principles that our scientists have theorized but never successfully implemented. If we could somehow capture one. No, Jackson cut her off. No more schemes. No more conquests. We played a game without understanding the true rules, and we lost. But, sir, Analyst Mevna, do you understand what we have discovered today? Jackson turned to face her, his eye stalks rigid with intensity. We believed ourselves apex predators in this cosmic jungle, only to discover we were merely allowed to hunt in a carefully managed preserve. And now the gamekeepers have revoked our privileges. On board the conservator vessel, Alexa watched as the Vorlexian fleet hastily regrouped, ships abandoning positions across formerly human territory to flee back toward their core worlds. They are running scared, observed Taraxon beside her. Oppressive, considering their historical aggression. Fear is universal, Alexa replied, even for species that pride themselves on conquest. Another conservator, this one appearing as a floating collection of geometric shapes arranged in a vaguely humanoid pattern, approached. The quarantine system is at 70% completion. We will meet the 1-hour deadline easily. Thank you, Nexus, Alexa nodded. And the restoration efforts? Proceeding as planned. The genetic archives are intact. We can begin reseeding Earth and the colony worlds immediately. Taraxon made a gesture that translated roughly to respectful disagreement. Is reintroduction wise? The trauma to the species. Humanity has faced extinction events before, Alexa replied. Just never on this scale. But their resilience is precisely why they were selected for the program. Still, Nexus contributed, geometric patterns shifting in what Alexa recognized as concern, 26 million survivors from a population of billions. The genetic bottleneck alone is manageable with our intervention, Alexa finished firmly. Remember, this isn't the first time we have had to rebuild one of our apprentice species after an attack. The Calderens were reduced to fewer than 10,000 before their restoration. And now they are guiding 3 galaxies worth of developing civilizations, Taraxon acknowledged. Point taken. Alexa turned her attention to a display showing Earth, its surface scarred by Vorlexian bombardment. Begin atmospheric restoration immediately. Soil remediation teams should prioritize former agricultural regions. And let's accelerate the education program for the survivors. They will need to understand what they are becoming sooner rather than later. There's still the matter of the decision they will face, Nexus pointed out. Not all humans may wish to join the Conservator Collective. That choice must remain theirs, Alexa said firmly. Forced evolution isn't our way. Those who wish to remain purely human will be accommodated on reserved worlds. And those who embrace the change? Asked Taraxon. Alexa smiled, her eyes briefly glowing with the same unearthly light that had been Commander Vazral's last sight. They will join us in protecting the next generation of promising species. After all, humanity's capacity for both creation and destruction makes them uniquely qualified as guardians. Speaking of decisions, Nexus interjected, patterns swirling faster. The Vorlexian containment raises ethical questions. Some might view permanent quarantine as unnecessarily cruel. The alternatives were extinction or memory modification, Alexa reminded them. This way, they retain their identity and autonomy, just within limits that protect others. Besides, in a few million years, they might evolve beyond their conquering instincts. The quarantine isn't necessarily permanent. Always the optimist, Taraxon observed with what passed for affection in his species. I was human once, Alexa replied simply. Hope is in our nature. The massive conservator vessel adjusted its position, now hovering above what had once been the city of Vancouver. Lo, the massive structure that had emerged from beneath the Canadian wilderness began reconfiguring itself, transforming from weapon platform to environmental restoration system. Commence Phase 2, Alexa ordered. Let's bring them home. 2 Earth years later, a small group of humans stood on a hillside overlooking a valley where a new settlement was taking shape. The air was clean now, the soil fertile again, thanks to conservator intervention. In the distance, massive flying creatures transported building materials, their partly mechanical, partly biological nature still strange to human eyes. Among the observers stood Raphael Patel, one of the 26 million humans who had survived the Vorlexian purge by virtue of being off-world when the attack began. As a deep space mining engineer, he'd been working the asteroid belt when Earth fell. Now, he was part of the Restoration Committee. Still can't wrap my head around it all, he said to the woman beside him. One day we are alone in the universe, the next we are apprentices to godlike beings who have been watching us for millennia. Alexa smiled, looking far more human today than when she confronted the Vorlexians. Not gods, Raphael, just very, very old. And not watching, guiding, subtly, those insights that pushed human science forward? The seemingly miraculous technological leaps? Often a little nudge from us. And now we get to choose, remain human or become like you. Exactly. Though become like me is a simplification. Each integration is unique, reflecting the individual's core traits. Raphael looked up at the stars, now seemingly within reach thanks to conservator technology. And the Vorlexians? What happens to them? They adapt or they stagnate. Their choice within their boundaries. Just like us. Alexa nodded, her gaze following his to the night sky. The universe is vast, Raphael. Far vaster than even the Vorlexians imagined with their 17 galaxies. There are millions of galaxies, billions of species. Endless possibilities for life and civilization. We conservators protect the most promising until they can join us or choose their own path. And humans showed promise? Exceptional promise. Alexa confirmed. Your capacity for empathy, combined with your drive to explore and understand, makes humanity unique among the species we have encountered. Raphael was silent for a moment, considering. You know what's ironic? The Vorlexians thought they had found one last human survivor, but she was actually a vanguard of something far greater. There's a lesson in that, Alexa replied, her eyes briefly glimmering with that otherworldly light. Never assume you are seeing the complete picture. The universe has layers upon layers of complexity, and humanity now gets to explore those layers. Yes, Alexa agreed, watching as the lights of the new settlement began to twinkle in the gathering dusk. Not as conquered, not as extinct, but as conservators themselves. The Vorlexians unwittingly accelerated your species' evolution by about 2 centuries. Some might call that a silver lining. I prefer to think of it as cosmic irony, Alexa replied with a touch of the sarcasm that humans had perfected over millennia. But they came to exterminate a promising young species, only to reveal its destiny as one of the guardians of life itself. Below them, the new city, the first of many that would arise on the restored Earth, hummed with activity as humans and conservators worked side by side, rebuilding not just a world, but a future among the stars that the Vorlexians never could have imagined.